You're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the return of the Prospect Show on ASTV Productions. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth, coming to you for the first time in 2022. It's a new year. Hopefully everyone had a happy new year, a Merry Christmas as well. And if you didn't celebrate Christmas, well, I hope you guys had a chance to have a nice holiday of relaxation and maybe some other fun stuff too. But yeah, first show of 2022, everybody. Excited to be here for the start of another year, and gonna kick it off with a bang here tonight. This episode of the Prospect Show is brought to you by TOVI Hockey, Caisse Financial Group, and Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy. There's going to be two guests joining me on tonight's edition of the show. Jared Down of the AAA show here on ASTB Productions, as well as Matthew Malin, goaltender of the Canmore Eagles in the AJHL. He's number one for that team, and it's his first year playing for Canmore. He'll be joining the show later on, and I'll also be finishing off tonight's edition of the Prospect Show with an edition of player analysis, breaking down the games of Connor Bedard and Matvei Michkov. Pretty sure I'm pronouncing that right, from the World Juniors, the performances that those two players had. So it's going to be an exciting edition of tonight's edition of the Prospect Show, of course, brought to you by our lovely sponsors here on the network. But without further ado, let's roll the intro for the first time here in 2022, the Prospect Show here on ASTV Productions. Wow! Joining me first on tonight's edition of the Prospect Show is going to be Jared Down. Jared will be coming on in just a moment here to talk about some sad news. The Max U18 AAA tournament presented by Circle K was canceled this year due to COVID-19, the ongoing pandemic that we're also aware of here in the world, not just in Canada, but where I'm from, but in many parts of the world. Every part of the world has been affected by COVID in some way or another. But yeah, it's affected a pretty awesome hockey tournament, a tournament that has 30 teams from around Canada, the US, as well as Europe, and they battle it out in a short amount of time and play in this highly touted, highly skilled tournament. The tournament was supposed to be happening from December 27th in 2021 all the way until yesterday in 2022, and unfortunately they canceled it, like I said, due to COVID-19. But stick with us. I'm going to get Jared Down here on the show in just a moment after we throw it to our first commercial break in this edition of the Prospect Show. Stick with me, and when he comes on, Jared for more after this commercial. Joining me now here on the Prospect Show is Jared Down, host of the AAA show here on the network, to talk about the cancellation of the Max U18 AAA tournament. Jared, thanks for taking the time and joining me here on this Monday night. Some pretty sad news. This tournament was supposed to be played from December 27th to January 2nd in Calgary, Alberta. There were supposed to be 30 teams playing in this tournament from across Canada, the U.S., and Europe, but due to COVID-19, that getting in the way. Once again, it seems like this virus just doesn't know when to quit when it comes to canceling hockey events. Ended up canceling the tournament, as we all know. Talk about, your first thoughts, your reactions on just getting the notice that this tournament was canceled.
Yeah, I found out on Twitter, and it just, first off, I saw it, and it kind of just was crushed for the players. It's the second year in a row this tournament was canceled. Personally, I had dove into it pretty heavily. I had about, 14 hours of prep. I was planning on doing a tournament preview show for it, and I was looking forward to talking about it and seeing how these teams played out. But for the second year in a row, these kids are paying the price, and they don't get to play in one of the best tournaments in North America.
Yeah, and it sucks because this is 2 years in a row that the tournament got canceled, and we would have seen some pretty darn good teams playing in this tournament, some of the best AAA teams from across the world, really. But looking at it, this tournament, the timeline, it was supposed to be held from December 27th to January 2nd. How, in your opinion, did this timeline of the tournament, just the number of days they had to complete it, play into the factor of them postponing and canceling this year's event?
Well, you're dealing with so many different leagues and scenarios here with this tournament, and it's not like the NHL or even the WHL where you can just postpone games and move games back. All these teams have to go back to their respective leagues and get back at action. And you got to take into account that these are, U18 kids that, they got other priorities other than just hockey too, that they got to work around. So I think that was the biggest reason, is they just don't have the flexibility.
Yeah, and looking at one of the factors taken in consideration, just the possibility of minor age players being unable to leave Calgary/Canada due to a positive test at the conclusion of the tournament, and the ramifications this would have on the players and their family. Just looking at it, looking at that factor, kind of playing into what we were just talking about. Hey, Jared.
Yeah, it's a lot of these kids, they might not have their families with them for this tournament. In a normal year, and let alone a COVID year where, chances are, some parents might have been able to make the trip, but, vaccination statuses or whatever respectively, or even like the Hungarian national team that was supposed to be in the tournament, they chances are they wouldn't have had that much family over here for it, but you never know. And just, if these kids get held up in Calgary for a couple of weeks, it's a long time away from family or their respective areas that, I know if I had a kid in the tournament, I wouldn't want them in another country or far away from home, isolating with the COVID. Chances are with the current virus, symptoms aren't severe, but if something ever did happen with one of these kids, that's a long ways to be away from family.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it could be tough on, a kid. Not all these kids are the oldest age possible for that age level. You could be having maybe some 15, even 16-year-olds here that haven't had much experience from living away from home and being away from their family. So that would definitely be tough for sure. Talking about this one here, which is interesting, the inability to effectively isolate/bubble players due to arrival dates. Talk about, what type of problems that the committee of the Max tournament would have ran into with the effectively isolating and putting players into a bubble during this time in the tournament.
Well, I think first off, just financially, the dollars that would come with it. A lot of these kids are probably sharing hotel rooms, and given the time, hotels are probably pretty full given it's Christmas time alone. Chances are that you'd have to add several more rooms for isolation, and chances are by the time a player tested positive, his bunkmate might already be positive as well, right? So it just kind of escalates into a domino effect. I feel that it's just a little too tough to manage given the resources they have for the tournament and the fact it's the second year in a row that it'll be canceled. So just financials play a big factor into it personally.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, looking at this too, just the inability to replace teams on short notice while maintaining the integrity of the tournament would have been a huge thing, as well, as that was a factor that was taken into consideration, of course. But just the inability to reschedule and adapt the event if positive cases occurred early in the event, just talking about, what the committee could have done if they were even able to, reschedule and adapt the event if there were early positive cases, how they could have handled that if this tournament did go on.
I think it would have been tough, even if they had the time frame. You look at even the World Juniors, they just weren't willing to work with the rescheduling. It just, it's going to have to be a forfeit. And given the fact that this tournament takes place in the AAA winter break, where all the teams are gone home for Christmas or whatever, it's you have players all over the place now. So say December 26th rolls around and you have, say Warman or someone test positive, well, be able to find a team that, you can get all the kids back together, back to the rink. Because, in Saskatchewan, let's say alone, you're not restricted to the zone like Manitoba and Alberta. You could play wherever in the province. So, you got to pull kids from all over Saskatchewan back to, say, Swift Current, say they're going to give the Legionnaires a shot or something. Just wouldn't be doable there. You might be able to scrounge up a team around Alberta, but looking at the tournament, there's already a heavy Alberta presence in the tournament, and you mentioned the integrity. That's where you kind of, you run into troubles there. You want to keep this as high variety tournament as possible, and get teams from all over North America, and you wouldn't be able to get them there in time. And I don't know, it's a headache. As much as it's easy to sit down and maybe figure out ways from an outsider, I can see where the headache came from, and the inability to adapt would be there.
Yeah, no doubt about it, for sure. Just unfortunate. I'll say it again, because this would have been such a great opportunity once again, as it has been in all the years that the Max tournament has been a thing, to see like some of the best AAA players from not only Canada but from the US and Europe as well. But talking about the capacity, the reduced capacity due to the restrictions by the Alberta government, making it would have made it tough for full attendance to be a thing, because it just can't simply happen with the capacity restrictions that are in place now. How much of a part did that have in terms of just the factor that played in this tournament being canceled? Just maybe the inability to have maybe as many scouts as these teams would have wanted, and their parents as well being there.
Yeah, I don't know how much of a factor this scenario played into the tournament. As much as it's nice to have the ticket sales and that, they have Hockey TV, I believe that's the one that runs it. They have it broadcasted, so scouts are able to watch it there. And I think this is one they could have got around. I feel like they kind of just threw this in there as a kind of another fallback to why they didn't have it. If I'm sure you ask any kid, coach, they would have said, I don't care if there's fans or not, I want to play in this tournament. We've been, this is one of the biggest tournaments next to the national championships in North America that these kids get to play in. I think they would have played without fans in a heartbeat. But ultimately, I think it's kind of just they threw it in the list of considerations that took into factor. But I believe this has probably had the least impact on the cancellation.
Yeah, and you're so right in that, because Hockey TV would have been broadcasting the event. So scouts have been very accustomed and adapted to watching players from outside of arenas, watching them virtually playing on streaming services. Of course, ASTV, of course, we offer a lot of great coverage for scouts as well with the games that we cover. But yeah, just I think you're right in that, as that didn't play as big of a factor in the other things that we've talked about already. But talking about could we see this tournament being rescheduled sometime this year, maybe in the springtime, maybe when playoffs are done for all teams? that would be involved in this tournament once playoff time comes and goes. Could we potentially see this tournament being rescheduled, in your opinion?
I think there is potential, whether it's going to be an adjusted format where maybe do not have near as many teams. The one thing that could run into issues, just off the top of my head, though, with the rescheduled tournament, is you'd probably have to have it in the summer. Because imagine there is kids on these teams that could have the potential to be playing with their respective junior teams come the end of their season, right? So there's that. But you could see it in the summer, I believe it's the Brick Invitational for the younger kids. I believe that happens in the spring. I believe that might be U13 or something. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but if there is ability to do it, I think they're going to look at it. But the way COVID's been going, it's hard to say what they'll be able to get away with. I think it's going to have to be a bubble format probably if they do have it, which comes with more resources. So they probably have to look at sponsorship money and the money coming in that it's got to be profitable to have, right? They're not just going to have this tournament at a financial loss. So
Right.
Tough to say. I hope it happens for these kids. A lot of these kids every year eligible to play in this tournament, they've had it canceled on them. So it's the kids that are paying, and hopefully they can find a way. But it's hard to predict right now.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see if this tournament will be rescheduled sometime later on in this year, and hopefully by the time of late December rolling around, when this tournament is traditionally played, we can see the Max tournament back in full action and see all the great talent that would be offered in this tournament. Jared Down, host of the AAA show, joining me here on the Prospect Show tonight to talk about the cancellation of this year's Max U18 AAA tournament held in Calgary, Alberta. Jared, thanks for taking the time and giving us some insight into the issues that arose as of why the Max tournament was canceled this year.
Yep, glad to be on, and thanks for having me, Graeme.
You take care, Jared.
You too.
Jared Down, host of the AAA show, joining me here first on tonight's edition of the Prospect Show. Would love to see the Max tournament be rescheduled at some point this year before the tournament for 2022-2023 comes around. Fingers crossed that tournament happens, but we're a ways away from that time coming to be. So, yeah, like Jared said, got a feel for these kids that are eligible, especially in the last 2 years, because in the last 2 years, this tournament has been canceled. But in 2022, here's to looking into the positive and hoping that this tournament somehow gets rescheduled, and more importantly, that the tournament coming up for 2022-2023 actually gets played this time around. So I'm going to throw it to another commercial break here, and after the commercial break, we're going to dive into this week's edition of the MCN Sports Advising segment with Matthew Malin, goalie for the Canmore Eagles in the AJHL, number one for the Canmore Eagles. I'm going to have a chance to talk to him about, his time growing up in the States, as he is from San Francisco, California, taking that step and moving to Canada to continue his hockey development. And this year with the Canmore Eagles, some other stuff as well. And of course, the MCN Sports Advising side of things, his time with MCN Sports Advising so far. So you're watching the Prospect Show on ASTV Productions. Stick around for more after this commercial break. MCN Sports Advising segment for this week coming up shortly.
Welcome to Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, your world-class academic and hockey training facility created to maximize each student's athletic and academic potential. Blackjack Stewart Arena, home of the Buffalo, is inside the 46,000 square foot complex, as well as a curling rink and other facilities. The students have a unique combination of successful, well-rounded education at Pilot-Mound Collegiate Institute and the professional hockey training in an encouraging community. The years of experience of on-ice coaching propel our students to the next level, both mentally and physically, in a professional environment.
on this week's edition of the MCN Sports Advising segment is a goaltender from San Francisco, California, number 1 of the Canmore Eagles in the AJHL, Matthew Malin. Matthew, thanks for taking the time and joining the show here tonight. How's the year been going with Canmore so far this year? The time that you've been able to play so far.
So far, it's been a great time in Canmore. It's a great group of guys. I enjoy being around them, enjoy the team. It's a great town to be in. It's a great hockey there. Where right now, last time I checked, it was 4th place. So we're doing pretty well now. We're getting better. We had a rocky start, but it's a good team. I'm glad to be on the ice with them.
And looking at the team so far this year, Matt, your team is 5th place in the South Division, 15 wins, 18 losses, and 6 extra time losses. 5th place in the South, of course. But talking about, how you ended up, becoming a Canmore Eagle. Of course, you grew up in San Francisco, California. You moved out to Canada back in 2021, that season, to play for the Northern Alberta U18 prep team. And this year you're taking that next step and playing junior hockey in the AJHL with Canmore. How'd that come to be?
It's an interesting story. So came up to Canada in actually 2019. That was the year I moved to Canada, especially for the goalie coaching. There's so much of it, and it's so high in there. It's so good. And I was able to be connected with ATC goaltending, and that's the main reason why I moved first. But that season, I got cut from AA in St. Albert, so that year became a developmental season for me. I was able to train all season with ATC goaltending and even Ian Gordon goaltending. So then next year, I was actually able to practice a little bit with NAX through ATC goaltending because one of their goalie coaches is the same goalie coach. So I was able to get on the ice with Matt Tassoni at NAX. And then the next year I made the team and I was able to play some games. I mean, it was unfortunate that our season got cut off from COVID again. So we had a total of 9 games. I got 6. So some visibility was pretty low there. I was able to play well in our last games, though, when we were especially getting seen in our little 3-game tournament in Calgary. And I was able to get some visibility, and there's a lot of camps I was going to after that, from Prince Albert and AJ teams and BC teams. I was going everywhere, but no one seemed to have seen enough of me. So I was looking pretty bad for the season. And then I got the call from Andrew Milne with Canmore, and he just needed an 0-3 goalie, and I was available still. So that was how I ended up with Canmore. And I think I know MCN had something to do with that in the background, but there's a lot of things in the background that I don't know what goes on. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Heck of a story. You were in so many places, ended up moving to Canada mainly because of ATC goaltending. Talk about, your time with ATC goaltending, what the time was like. Are you still with ATC, doing work with them?
So ATC, well, this year it's been hard to get anywhere, again, travel, and I'm with a team, and our team doesn't have a goalie coach with ATC, so I'm not able to see them so much, but I've been able to previously over the summer get lots of coaching with them. They've been excellent for me. They really helped me figure out what makes me successful on the ice. And there's goalie coaches, Alan York, Jamie McKaig, Dave Rathjen, and even Tanner McCorson, who's my advisor at MCN. They're all fantastic, and I was grateful for them, especially my off season, to keep me working and keep me sharp.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Being able to stay sharp, that's a huge thing for not only goaltenders, but all hockey players. But in this case, with you being a goaltender, for sure. Talking about, your time growing up playing hockey in the States, of course, you're not from Canada. You're born in San Francisco, as mentioned previously in this interview. Talk about, what it was like growing up playing hockey in the places you played in the States.
Yeah, it was small. Hockey's not as big in California. I mean, there is good hockey there. It's just not as much of it. It's just not as popular there because it's California. But I was able to have fun. My parents are from Canada, so that's really the reason why I am into hockey so much. But they showed it to me, and I had a blast when I was young in San Francisco for the SaberCats and in A hockey, B hockey for a while until I was in 10, 11, and then 12, and then 13, 14 year I moved to San Jose for AAA hockey, where it got more serious. That was the only AAA team in Northern California. So that was good. The coaching got better there. We were able to get a little exposure there. And then, of course, I played 2 years in San Jose, and then I was able to move to Canada for the real jump.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Moving to that place, to San Jose, where, like you said, offered that opportunity for you to get some more exposure, some more eyes on you. Talk about your time there with San Jose, the development you had there as a goaltender, the games you got to play, just that whole experience playing with the San Jose Junior Sharks.
Yeah, I was one of the few goalies in Northern California that were lucky enough to play on that team. So we got a lot of games with that team. There's we traveled all over the country, going to Detroit, Minnesota, Philadelphia, all of those places. Got a lot of opportunities to showcase, and we did have goalie coaching in San Jose, and we were getting better there. It was a really good time there. The team was good. The kids were good. They all wanted to get better. I think there's a couple of kids who are still in it now playing. Where are they playing? There's one who's committed to NCAA colleges, and I'm hoping to be able to follow him. So there's some good guys out there.
Yeah, for sure. Being able to play at the college level would be a dream for you, for sure. But looking at it, moving out to Canada back in 2019, playing for the Northern Alberta Extreme Team, the NAX, for 3 games in 2020, 2021. You put up a 2-1 record in those 3 games. You had a .900 save percentage, 2.67 goals against average. Talk about, what it was like making that jump from playing in the U.S. compared to playing in Canada in those 3 games, how you're able to have that success and winning 2 games and only losing 1 and putting up some solid numbers as well. Yeah,
it was the jump to Canada was interesting. The game is definitely more physical up in Alberta, I noticed. There's some big boys up here. It was fun to play with. Goalie coaching was excellent with ATC being there and Alan York being my goalie coach. I was grateful for him. And Matt Tassoni, who is one of my favorite coaches ever to play for. I'm grateful for him. And the team was a good team there too. I mean, that was some of the best years of my hockey career that I've been able to play so far, barring the Eagles so far here. But it was being able to put up some numbers. I mean, it was unfortunate that the season wasn't longer. I just wish I could have had some more time with them, but it was good.
Yeah, for sure. Just so unfortunate last season due to COVID-19. You guys didn't even get a season, which is so unfortunate, but good to know that you've been able to be back in action this year, playing quite a few games with the Eagles. Talking about, playing for the Canmore Eagles this year, as mentioned before, 15-8-6 so far this year, 5th in the South Division. Your stats so far this year, you're 2-7-1, 8 .83 save percentage and a .420 goals against average. Talk about what the jump has been this year from, you playing in the CSSHL to playing in a junior league against some even bigger boys in the AJHL, in terms of just how you've adapted, how you've adjusted to the playing style in that league.
Yeah, the play is a lot. It gets faster up here in the AJ. It's harder. The boys are bigger. Shots are harder. It's a jump for sure. It takes a while to get used to it, to find your groove in the game. I'd like to improve on those stats this year if I still get a chance, but they're gonna come with time, and I'll improve, and I'll get older and stronger as time goes on. So it'll be good to have some more time with the team and get some more ice time once I earn it. So that's how it'll work, I think.
Yeah, and it seems like nothing really phases you, Matt. Nothing really rattles you. 2-7-1 record, not the best numbers, not the best record. Talk about how you've been able to handle, going through the struggles that you have this season, not putting up the numbers that you'd ideally want to put up in a season like this.
Yeah, struggle has been the name of the game for a while for me. Going up to Edmonton, getting cut from AA, that was a struggle. I had to struggle through a year of no games at all, even the year when there's still hockey. And then the next year when we don't get any games, COVID hits, and I'm still struggling through those times. So I'll struggle on now, and it's nothing new. It's all about the next step and how can I get better and stop the next puck. So that's how I have to look at it right now to keep my sanity and keep it going.
Yeah, and seems like you're a resilient goaltender out there, from just the conversations that we've been having, all that you've gone through, from getting cut to not having a year of games, and to struggling this year to start things off. Talk about, though, what type of goaltender Matthew Malin is out there on the ice, the strengths of your game as a goalie.
Yeah, so I've been trying to make my game as calm as possible. Keep everything quiet. Boring is the best, mostly. So if I can keep the pucks quiet, if I can keep off rebounds, put them in good places, cover up everything, make the impossible save has always been the thing I've wanted to do. If I can make the hard save, you're golden there. And if I can keep the play quiet at the same time, it's the best thing possible. So that's what I try and do.
You talked about how the team got off to a rough start, but the team has gotten better and better as the season has gone along. In your opinion, what are the things that this team is going to, continue to improve on, continue to need to work on to get to the level of getting better, getting that record over 500 and climbing up in the standings as the year goes along?
Yeah, beginning of the year, they were still finding out what the game that makes them successful. They lost a lot of firepower in Alex Young and Connor Lyons from their previous teams, but they realized they had to buy into the style of game that made them successful and be a strong team and get into the dirty areas, be physical, be perseverant, have perseverance. And they have bought into the game, and I have faith that they'll continue and push throughout the rest of the season here.
Yeah, for sure. And, obviously you got a lot of faith that this group will continue to push on and get better as the season goes along. Talk about, your experience of being with this team so far in this season, in terms of just bonding with the team, becoming one of the boys on this year's Canmore Eagles team.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because of COVID. So a lot of activities were prohibited, I guess you could say, but we've been able to hang out as a team, be around. We did the local can golf indoor virtual golf thing together as a team, and we really learned about each other there. We really got to see what makes us tick, have a fun time together. It's the group of guys is really great. It's good kids. You can't beat that. So I'm glad to be with them all the time.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Matt, once we come back from this commercial break, I'm going to talk to you about your brief time with MCN Sports Advising, what your experience has been like with them so far in your hockey life. I've been joined by number one of the Canmore Eagles in the AJHL, Matthew Malin, on this edition of the Prospect Show. Stick around for more with Matt and me after the commercial break. Welcome back to this week's edition of the MCN Sports Advising segment here on the Prospect Show. Matthew Malin, number one goaltender of the Canmore Eagles in the AJHL, is joining me on the segment this week to talk about, his time growing up playing hockey in the States, most notably for the San Jose Junior Sharks, as well as moving to Canada back in 2019, playing for the NAX team, the Northern Alberta extreme U18 prep team in the CSSHL, and this season his time with the Canmore Eagles in the AJHL, of course. But now we're gonna dive into talking about MCN, your time being advised by them, Matt. But before we do that, I want to get to know you a bit more. Obviously, your parents a huge influence why you got into hockey, with them being from Canada. Talk about that first moment where you touched the ice when you fell in love with the game.
That'll be a bit hard to remember. I think I was 3 years old when that was the case. My dad told me, I think you can play any sport you want as long as it's hockey. So that was a big influence on me, and I'm grateful for it because I've loved it ever since. Since I was 3, moving up, playing little guys hockey, and then getting better. My dad, he's not the biggest guy, so he wasn't expecting me ever to go far or anything like that. But once I passed him in height, he was saying, "Okay, well, I guess it's time to support you with this thing." And he's been awesome. My mom's been awesome. They moved with me to Canada, and they've been so supportive for me to play hockey here, and I'm grateful for it.
That's amazing. And yeah, you are 6'1", 175 pounds. That is what's on Elite Prospects. I'm not sure if that is accurate. Is that accurate?
Roughly accurate.
Roughly accurate. What's the true height of Matthew Malin?
It's 6'1.5", I think. More. I think that one actually went down a little bit. It's the weight that might be a little high. I don't know. Somewhere around there though.
I see. Well, you're in that area for sure. But talking about you growing up in San Francisco, California, obviously a lot of teams from California in the NHL. You got the Los Angeles Kings, the San Jose Sharks, the Anaheim Ducks. Is that one of your favorite teams coming from California, or is there another team that you've grew up admiring it being your favorite team?
Well, I always loved the San Jose Sharks, playing in San Jose for a while and being in the Bay Area around there. I remember as a little guy, we had our Squirt team. It's called Squirts Down the States for that age group. We did the shootout at Sharks Ice in the intermission. So I did it twice actually with that group. So that was really cool. My mom's from Toronto. My dad's from Edmonton. So I am Oilers fan and I'm Leafs fan. But I'm grateful that the Oilers are doing well, and Sharks, well, it's the Sharks right now. So that's how it is right now.
Well, the Leafs are also doing well there, Matt. So you're doing pretty good for the teams you're liking so far this year in terms of how they're doing. Got to ask you this question because being a Leafs fan, it comes with a lot of criticism by some people. Have the boys in the dressing room this year ever, made any jokes about any first round exits with the Leafs or anything like that?
I don't think I've told them that part yet, that I'm a Leafs fan. That might be a source of shame. So but that first round exit, yeah, if they can get out of the first round, they'll be a good team. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. It hasn't happened in a pretty long time, but
the day they win the cup.
Yeah. Hopefully you and your teammate, I mean, not you and your teammates, but hopefully your teammates, watch this interview and, have some mercy on you, with you being a Leafs fan, of course, because like I said, it is a team if you're a fan of that, you could get a lot of backlash on. But, talking about a player that you've grown up, admiring, maybe a favorite player you got in the NHL, is there one player in particular that is your favorite in the NHL?
Yeah, for a while it's been Carey Price. He was, because his style of play has been just so calm, and he can make the second, third, fourth save look easy without having to hit the panic button, and I respect that about him. I think he was probably the best goalie in the world for a while there until he's still one of the best, I think. And I think there's I respect a lot of goalies though in the NHL for their style of play. And you got like Fleury. I love the way he can make any save anytime in his own fashion. But it was mainly Carey Price growing up. I always watched him. I liked Nabokov. Yeah, the Sharks. I knew him for a while though, so that was cool as well.
Oh, that's awesome. And yeah, Carey Price, you're not wrong about that. One of the best goaltenders in the league for a long time. Looking at his playoff run last year, something that I haven't really seen much about of goaltenders, just the way that he was able to put up really good numbers in the playoffs last year. I mean, really good. But yeah, it was awesome to see him go to Cup last year. Hoping to see him back in action soon this year, as he hasn't played a game yet. But we'll have to wait and see if Carey Price plays any hockey this season. But talking about, you talk about your favorite goaltender, a goalie that you've, really respected, and Carey Price, guys like Nabokov and Fleury. But what about a goaltender in the league now that maybe you model your style of game as a goaltender after?
Well, again, Carey Price, that's who I've been modeling it after for a while now. It's hard to, I've loved watching Vasilevsky play. It's hard to model your game after a goalie like him, but I'd love to watch him play. Again, I keep on going back to Price. He's the calm guy that makes everything look easy, and if I can do that, that's the key to my success, I think. So there you go.
Right on. And yeah, you talked about that earlier in the interview, how being calm is a huge part of your game as a goaltender, for sure. Talking about your time with MCN now, Matt, obviously you told me before the interview that it's been a pretty brief time with them, but talk about how you ended up finding MCN and being advised by them.
It's interesting. MCN, they found me a little bit. It was through Tanner McCorson. He's a goalie coach with ATC Goaltending, and I was able to work with him for a long time, or for a couple of years now. And he along with some other members of ATC Goaltending, came down to the States when I was still with the Sharks and ran a clinic there. And I was able to work with him there, and then come back up over the summer and work with him again. And now he reached out to me about MCN, and he is my advisor with MCN. And so far, he's been a great sounding board with how to navigate junior A hockey at the beginning. Again, I'm not getting started, so I'm talking to him about just training and how do I get myself better, how do I handle all this, and he's been great so far for me.
Yeah, and that's awesome. You get to work with a guy that you have some familiarity with already before choosing and joining MCN. Talk about Tanner McCorson, what he's been able to do for your hockey career so far, since you've met him, and, the work that he's put in with you with MCN so far.
He's just been giving me a lot of advice on, because academics are very important to me because of NCAA eligibility and all that stuff. He keeping me honest with my schooling, keeps on checking in with me on how all that's working out, and getting me ready for the SAT test so I can go NCAA. Right. He's been, even in the coaching aspect, he's been, he keeps it light. He keeps me happy to be out there. He makes this game fun. He's awesome that way.
Yeah, that's great to hear, and awesome that you're able to have a guy that not only advising you, that's helping you with the training, but as well as mentoring you. How huge has that been to have a mentor like Tanner by your side?
It's everything. It's great. He's awesome. He keeps me honest, keeps me focused on what to do next, what to keep training, keep faith in the path, keep faith in that everything will be good, just as long as I keep on putting in the work and stay ready. So that's how he's been helping me out a lot in that area.
Yeah, and obviously education is a huge part of what MCN does. And like you said, Tanner helping you out on that side of things with him being your advisor. Talk about, the education side of things from your point of view, how, seriously you've taken it, how much emphasis that you've been putting on education since you've joined MCN.
I've been putting a lot of emphasis on in the past. I've been doing it for a long time. I know how the better your grades are in school, the better the more doors are open to you in terms of schools, going to Ivy League, anything like that, or any of the other schools. But it definitely makes you personally more valuable to them. So keeping the academics sharp has always been extremely important for me. And just getting to just stay on track of all those things. There's a lot of stuff to stay on top of when you're running. It feels like 2 full-time jobs when you're partly running the AJ and then you're doing school at the same time. It's a lot, so it's important.
Right, and you talked about it earlier, how MCN they might have had a bit of they played a part in Canmore, giving you a call. Talk about, those behind the scene things, how huge it is for MCN to take the load off of you, just allowing you to worry about going out there and doing what to do best is just playing the game of hockey.
Yeah, playing the game. If I can they're just giving me the ability to stay focused on the game, keep on developing myself, keep on playing well. If I can play well, I know they'll do their part in helping me get the exposure to NCAA schools at this point. And I don't even know what's going on behind the scenes and what they're doing, but I know they are doing their part, and and they're giving me the ability just to keep on doing my part and play hockey. And I'm grateful for that too.
Obviously you haven't been with MCN long, but seems like you got a pretty positive outlook on what they've been doing for you so far, which is awesome to hear. But talk about the training. Have you been able to do any sort of training with MCN so far at this point?
Not yet so much. It's just been my conversations with Tanner, but I don't know how that will work in the future, but it will, I'm sure.
Yeah, that would be awesome for you to get out training with MCN Sports Advising. They might get you in one of their training facilities. They got some awesome training facilities. Is that something that you'd be excited about, getting to work in their training facilities over there at MCN in Alberta?
I'd be thrilled. That'd be awesome. I just right now there's no time, just being in the middle of the season, but I'm sure when summer comes around, I'll have the ability to get out there with them. And I'm sure they'll be a big part of making me better. I'm grateful.
Last question for you here, Matt. Obviously, like I said, you have such a positive outlook on MCN and your advisor, Tanner McCorson, so far. The time you've been able to, know him and be advised by him so far. But, for families out there, for players looking for a place to be advised, why should a family, mention to their kid or allow their kid to be mentored and choose MCN Sports Advising?
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned it earlier, the mentorship side of things. I know that there's a lot of, advisory programs that are all about, they're only on the side of moving kids over to the next level and all about that, where they won't even talk to their players for times until they get traded or until the next move happens. But MCN is big with the mentorship side of things. So I'm grateful for Tanner to be working with me and actually helping me become a better person in that way, and moving me on to the next level in his way. And I'm grateful for that too. So I hope he can do that for other kids too.
Yeah, that's awesome, Matt. Awesome. Like I've said so many times, that you've been enjoying your time with MCN so far, and looking into the future, hoping you'll continue to enjoy your time with MCN, of course. On this week's edition of MCN Sports Advising, this week's segment of MCN Sports Advising here on the Prospect Show, number one, Matthew Malin of the Canmore Eagles in the AJHL, goaltender for that team, joining the show here this week on the Prospect Show. Matt, thanks for taking the time, and best of luck to you and your team in the rest of the season.
Thank you, Graeme.
Matthew Malin joined me here on tonight's edition of the Prospect Show. Of course, he's an 03 born goaltender from San Francisco, California, living the dream here in the Great North in Canada, in Alberta, playing in the AJHL for the Canmore Eagles. And yeah, great to know that MCN has had a positive impact on him so far as well. So we're going to send it to another commercial break here in the show. When we come back, it's this week's edition of Player Analysis here on the Prospect Show. Stick around for me to break down, analyze the games of Connor Bedard and Matvei Michkov from this year's World Junior Hockey Championship, short as it was. You're watching the Prospect Show on ASTV Productions. Stick around for more after the commercial break. Welcome back to the Prospect Show here on ASTV Productions. Of course, most recently, who joined me on the show, Matthew Malin, number one goaltender of the Canmore Eagles, an 03 goaltender from San Francisco, California. Special thanks to him for coming on and joining the show tonight, as well as Jared Down of the AAA show to talk about the cancellation of this year's Max tournament, the 2021-2022 Max U18 AAA tournament held in Calgary, Alberta. Jared, of course, came on the show to, talk about the cancellation, the factors that played into it. If you guys want to check out that interview with Jared, be sure to go closer to the start of the episode. And if you guys missed that interview with Matthew Malin, be sure to check that out, as that was the second interview of tonight's episode. But going into the weekly segment here that we do here on the Prospect Show, Player Analysis. And in this week's edition of Player Analysis, I'm going to be doing something a bit different, in the sense that these two players have not been guests on tonight's show. Unfortunately, was unable to have a player with any game film on tonight's edition of the show. But with the World Juniors, as they came and passed, short as the tournament was, only 2 games that Canada was able to play, tournament getting canceled due to COVID-19, just so disappointing. But in that short period of time in this tournament this year in the World Juniors, the 2022 World Juniors, we got to see 2 stars in the making who had pretty big impacts in the games that they played, most notably for one of the players in his game against Austria, where, a 16-year-old put up 4 goals in Connor Bedard. And for Russia, he played a huge part in their team's offensive attack in Matvei Michkov. And both of these players are set to get drafted in the 2023 NHL entry draft. So we get to watch them for at least one more year in the World Juniors coming up. It's going to be scary to see how good they'll be come December of next year, or maybe, we get to see them play again this year in a tournament that could potentially be rescheduled at some point, but I'm not holding my breath. But let's talk about it. Connor Bedard and Matvei Michkov, and I'm going to start off with Bedard, starting off with his game. What can't you like about Connor Bedard's game? This is a player that's so good off the rush. His high Q is outstanding. His skating's very good. His passing, his hands, his shot. Basically, he's the complete package. And whatever team gets the number 1 overall pick in 2023 will be more than happy to have Connor Bedard on their squad. But let's dive into it now. Just going to load up the video here. Week's edition of Player Analysis. Starting off with Connor Bedard. By the way, everyone, this highlight footage coming courtesy of TSN and the NHL Network. I forget what channel I got it from. My apologies. I'll put it down below in the description of this episode as to where you guys can find these highlight videos if you guys want to watch them on your spare time on YouTube. But here we go. Connor Bedard. Looking at it here, Bedard just in such good position here to get this puck. He's going to wait out the goaltender, a little backhand, forehand, and put it up top. And then just looking at it here, Connor Bedard off the rush. He's going to end up getting a secondary assist on this play. And then boom, there's a goal. Now, looking at it here, this, I believe, is Connor Bedard dangling. Look at that dangle, a toe drag around the defenseman, a toe drag between the feet there, in between the legs, and Connor Bedard able to open up space for himself and get a good scoring chance on net. But let's break it down here, how Connor Bedard was able to expose this defenseman. Now you're going to see it here. Connor Bedard, seeing that this defenseman is already in a vulnerable position, puts himself in an even more vulnerable position once he goes for the poke check. And Connor Bedard has way too nice of hands to not make this move here. And what he's going to do, if he's able to make this move to the side that he's going on the left side, he's going to open up a lot of space, because you can see the Austria defensive coverage here, not given much coverage here in the high quality scoring area. And Connor Bedard going to see this. He's just going to go through the legs, quick little stick handle, and puts it into the glove. But look at this here. Bedard able to toe drag in. Gets it in. And then looking at it here, right as he pulls back, he sees this defenseman, poke checks, commits to the play, and commits to the move of Bedard, and Bedard pulls it back far enough, able to go through the legs, protecting that puck, and puts it in the glove of the goaltender to create a scoring chance for himself. Bedard here going to circle up in the zone, passes it to the point, and this is his first goal of the tournament. And he's able to, get his own rebound after a few whacks at it. After 2 whacks at it, I guess, and put it in. But looking at it here, Bedard in the neutral zone, aggressive. He's going to do a nice give and go to a teammate there. And playing this one back, just looking at it, going back to the awareness, going to the right places for Connor Bedard. Bedard, once he comes in, sees a teammate wide open, he's going to hold on to this puck a bit more, gets, behind the defenseman a bit, able to stay strong on his skates as he's getting, I'm not sure what the right word would be, kind of some stick work on him, the defenseman, trying not to let him get to that net. But Bedard's going to fight through it. Bedard with a give and go pass, and he continues going to the net. He doesn't trail off to the right. He continues going to the net in a straight line, has his stick on the ice, ready to receive a give and go pass from his teammate. and then boom, puts it in net. And looking at it here, commanding on the rush, takes it wide. Bedard able to find an open passing lane and pass it to a teammate. And look at it here, Bedard with the speed, the good skating, the urgency on the rush to drive that puck wide. He's going to draw the Austria team a bit down low, and then he sees that open passing lane. As you guys can see right here, that opens up because he's able to draw the Austria team down low with his speed, and boom, in the slot, there's a shot. And then looking at it here, toe drag to the inside, or he pulls it to the inside and then puts it to the forehand and puts it in the net. Looking at it, quick little stick handle, and boom, look at that release from Connor Bedard there. It's just, man, his shot is absolute money. But once again, just knowing if he makes a move here on this Austria defensive coverage, he sees that there's, a pretty wide gap, pretty good spacing. If he's able to beat this defender, able to eliminate this player here, he does exactly that. He sees him in the vulnerable position, and Bedard just able to pull that to the backhand, goes to the forehand, quick little stick handles, and puts it in the net. And then just looking at it here, Connor Bedard going to the right place, going to the dirty area here. You're going to see two players are on him right here, but he's got good positioning. He's able to get that stick out, and boom, little tip up top, and boom, there's a goal. We're going to see it a couple more times here. Boom, puts it in. Nice hand eye from Mr. Connor Bedard. And then just looking at it here, his speed, him carrying the puck on the rush with confidence, attacking the defenseman, able to draw a penalty on this play, builds up speed in the neutral zone, boom, in. Might have gotten a shot, maybe even a goal on net there, but with his speed, the defenseman, all he could do was bring him down with the hook on that one after getting beat. And then just looking at it here, Bedard exposing, attacking the defenseman, a nice toe drag around there, and that pass across, ringing off the post. Gonna see it again, Bedard attacking the defense with speed. He's gonna pull this back and toe drag it. Has his head down, but scans the area. You guys might have not seen that, but he did have his head down on that play, and that's okay. It's all about awareness on the ice, situational awareness to be able to do that. And Bedard, seeing that he's not in danger of getting lit up there, he's going to put his head down briefly to make that toe drag around that defenseman, eliminating him before passing it across, and that one going off of the post. But yeah, that's Connor Bedard's game. Wasn't able to see much, wasn't able to, see as much footage as I would have liked from him in the World Juniors due to it being canceled due to COVID-19. But just the guy off the rush carries the puck with such confidence, attacks the D-zone coverage with such urgency, and attacks defenders at such a high level. That goes into his vision, very good awareness out there, goes to the right places. His skating's at an elite level. His passing is at an elite level. His hands are as silky as they get, and his shot, it's powerful, and he's got a quick release too. But now looking at the kid who's supposed to go number 2 overall in the year that Connor Bedard and this guy is eligible. Well, this kid, Matvei Michkov of Team Russia. He's from Russia. He's playing in the KHL, and such a shame that we won't get to see Matvei Michkov right away in the NHL due to one simple factor, that he has a 6-year deal in the KHL. So once he gets drafted next year into the NHL, the team, whoever drafts him, is going to have to wait 3 years to see him in action in their franchise's jersey. But I don't think that should by any means lower his draft stock. This kid is the real deal, just like Connor Bedard, and I'm about to break down what makes Matvei Michkov the type of hockey player he is, what makes him so effective. So for this one, I forgot to mute the sound in production, but, we're going to simply fix that by muting it here. And here we go. We're going to break it down. So starting off with this, Matvei Michkov, what makes him so good? Well, he's touted as a smart player, and elite prospects even touted him as the smartest prospect in hockey. And what makes him so good? Well, he sees the ice so darn well. He has so much patience. He doesn't force anything really, and he uses his eyes to deceive and look players off, and his positioning is really well. He just goes to the right places, similar to Bedard, and you're going to see it here. He's going to be in good position to get this puck off the tie-up on the draw, gets it quickly back to his defenseman, and boom, able to get a shot on net, gets it back to his defenseman again. Looking at it here for Michkov on the half wall, he's going to protect this puck really well. Ends up having this Canadian player, I'm not too sure who this was, but has him going to his, what would have been his backhand side. But Michkov going to protect the puck and doing a nice job of that along the boards. And then Michkov, of course, going to pass this one down low, making a good pass there. Michkov here on the face-off circle, the right face-off circle, ends up passing this down low on the power play, and then tic-tac-toe, and then boom, it's in the net. And look at this, Michkov talking about the eyes and how they deceive. You can look at it here. He's not looking at this player down low that he's going to pass to. No, he's looking like he's going to pass this across, but nope, he's going to be like, whoop, passing it down low, and then boom, it's in the back of the net. Actually, I'm not sure if that was a tic-tac-toe or not. I think the guy, number 16 for Russia, might have scored it, but I digress. Anyways, moving into this now. Looking at it, Michkov is going to have that patience to suck that Canadian defenseman in, or that Canadian player in, before passing it to the point to his D-man. We're going to look at it again. Just looking at it here, Michkov has some time, has some space, has to find a way to break down this Canadian PK a bit. So he's going to see this player come to him. He's going to have that patience, knows he has the patience to get it there, and then boom, a saucer pass over the stick. But looking at Michkov here, he allows the play to come to him, and then boom, he makes a pass, eliminating that Canadian defenseman. Just the patience on this kid, that Canadian player, my apologies. But just looking at the patience on this kid, knowing that he has some time on the power play, the attack isn't going to be as harsh because Canada's undermanned here. And then boom, he's going to have it on the forehand before going to the backhand and passing it, sucking this Canadian player in, and then boom, opens up a pass to a player that ends up taking it in with ease for Team Russia. Now, looking at it here, Michkov down low, strong on the skates, good on his skates, and strong on the puck, able to evade that Canadian player down low, winning that battle. And then here he's going to open up the skates a bit. He's going to make a nice move around Cole Perfetti down low. He makes a nice tight turn, good on his edges, protecting that puck along the boards, and then before passing it out. But looking at it here, Michkov takes it in again, and he's going to open up like he's potentially going to pass to the point here. Perfetti, goes to the forehand side or attacks the forehand side to, get the puck potentially or try to get in the passing lane there. And then Michkov able to notice that he's going to have a good chance with his skill set, with his ability to dangle with his edge work as well, to make that move around Perfetti, which he does. And Michkov here, looks like he tried to attempt the Michigan, but couldn't. But after that, he problem solves and, does a tight turn, protects that puck, puts it, off the boards, and then passes it out to a teammate, maybe not putting it off the boards, but protecting it down low and on that tight turn before making a quick pass out front to a teammate in the low slot. Now, looking at it here, can he rip it? Yes, he can. Looking at it, he's going to get it back, and boom, just a howitzer of a slap shot, putting it in the net. Maybe not a howitzer, but a pretty powerful slap shot there from Matvei, and boom, beats the Canadian goaltender. And looking at it here, off the rush. He's going to get this drop pass back, and he's going to end up sniping that one. Beautiful, beautiful release there by Michkov. Once it's on a stick, boom, quick release, and it's in the net, playing it back once again. Michkov made a nice pass, in good position to get a drop pass, and boom, he scores there. And ended up making it, I believe, at that point, a 6-4 game. Now, that was just the Canadian game that they played Canada again. They played against Canada in that game. And that was in the pre-tournament. Now, this is in the actual tournament. This was on Boxing Day. And this was the first game of Russia's tournament. The one of two games that they played in the actual tournament. But looking at it here, Michkov just bats it down, able to, with the glove, able to get that across. And boom, the team goes in, gets a scoring chance. Now, looking at it here, Michkov able to lay the boom, forcing the puck not to be broken out by that player. And then Michkov going to stay on the puck and able to get a chance on net. Now, looking at it once again, of course, Michkov gonna lay this guy out. Russia able to get some good pressure here, keeping this puck in, and then there's a turnover force. Michkov aware in the right place once again, able to pick up that loose puck and get a scoring chance on net. Michkov here, a nice quick pass, and that's a chance on net. Michkov again tries getting it up quickly. But then they're going to get it for Team Russia, and they're going to break up. And Michkov, what a move there. And it's just that awareness of just knowing how to expose a defenseman, knowing he's in a vulnerable position. You see here from the get-go, the defenseman is already in a bad position. Looks like he's trying to go for the poke check here, potentially on Michkov. Use his stick to defend. And Michkov here is going to pull that back ever so slightly on the forehand, has it in that loaded money position, and he's able to make this move smoothly through his legs, getting around the defenseman and beating him and putting a shot on net. Now, looking at Michkov here, he's going to get this pass. He's going to send it across quickly, and boom, looking at it. Man, it's been a while since I've done this. I'm a bit slow. Sorry. That goal, by the way, that move that he put in resulted in a goal, if you guys didn't know. So that was his first of the tournament. But Michkov here, going to get a pass quickly gets it across. And then there's going to be a shot that ends up going wide of the net. And Michkov, just that awareness, his smarts to throw the puck on net, see what happens. Ends up getting tipped, deflected as that puck was getting to the net, and goes off of the goaltender's back of his head. And you know what? It's a bit of a lucky play, but Michkov, just with that awareness to, see what happens, throw it on net, and he does just that. A quick pass there from Michkov to a teammate. You see Michkov here with a nice goal. And the reason I feel like this is so nice, and I have to agree with Craig Budden here, is just the patience. Just the patience to know you got some time. You don't have to rifle this puck right away. It's not the nicest goal, but he's able to pick his spot. Just that patience, that awareness that he could have that patience is just some of the things that makes Michkov so good. So just the smarts from Michkov, using the eyes to deceive the defensemen, the players, the forwards, whoever is attacking him, looking off players, as you guys saw. He has the patience. He doesn't force much. He sees the ice really well. He's strong on his skates, strong on the puck, good on his edges, and his shot. He can rip it from many different ways, and he's a patient shooter. You guys saw him rip it with a slap shot in that game against Canada, a good snapshot as well. And like you saw in that last clip, he's a patient shooter, And I think another thing about Michkov's game is he's such a good passer. I think that goes into his IQ. He's always making the right, simple passes, the smart passes, and the quick passes as well. And hey, him and Bedard, it's touted as Crosby and Ovechkin 2.0. Going to be exciting to see both of these players go at it for years in the NHL, go at it next year in the World Junior Hockey Championship if they're able to play games against each other, depending on what happens with the teams, what pool they're in, and some other things like if they play each other in the elimination round. But excited to watch these guys play. Hopefully you guys enjoyed tonight's edition of Player Analysis on the Prospect Show. Was a bit rusty, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it. That's going to do for tonight's edition of the Prospect Show on ASTV Productions. I've been your host, Graeme Forsyth. I want to once again thank Jared Down of the AAA show and Matthew Malin of the Canmore Eagles, #1 goaltender for that team in the AJHL, for coming on and being the guest in tonight's episode. I want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in on this Monday evening as well. And I also want to thank the sponsors of tonight's edition of the Prospect Show in Caisse Financial Group, TOVI Hockey, and Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy. The Prospect Show will be returning next week on Monday for an all-new edition of that show. You guys can catch it on ASTV Productions Monday night, all across our network on ASTV Productions on Facebook, Amateur Sports TV on Twitter, as well as on our website at astvproductions.com. We might be starting the show at 8 p.m. that night, maybe at 9, maybe at 8:30, but somewhere in between then. You guys can check out who the guest will be for that episode. On Monday morning is when we'll be releasing the guest list next week. We will be releasing it on all of our social media platforms, on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram as well at ASTV Productions. So stay tuned for that next Monday morning. But until next Monday night, folks, I've been your host, Graeme Forsyth of the Prospect Show, wishing you guys the best on this Monday evening. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of it. Enjoy your day at work tomorrow, your day at school, whatever you guys are doing tomorrow. Enjoy it. Stay safe out there as well. Stay warm as well. And have a wonderful rest of your week. Have a wonderful and safe weekend as well. And until next week on Monday, folks, I'll see you then. Peace out, everybody.